So how do we make the call? Well, you need some process, and it needs to be very clearly understood as a process so that you can do the same every time. Here's what we recommend. First of all, you need a name. It's no good just phoning up and expecting someone to put you through to someone who might want to help you. Your job is to help them. So be professional, do your research. Use the internet, use people that are in that business that you might have had previous contact with. But be sure that when you're phoning corporate buyers and procurement people, their names may not be available. So you can't just phone someone up and expect to get put through. So let's assume you've done your work and you've got that name. How do you use it? Well, people like to hear their name, so use the first name as frequently as you can. And we're looking for positive triggers because the human brain doesn't think in the first few seconds of a call, it simply responds. So a call will go something like this. Could I speak to John Smith, please? And he may well say, speaking. Now use his name again. Why? Because you'll get more of a positive response if you trigger familiarity. The human condition is such that we look for people like us. And if someone sounds like they know us, we are more likely to listen to what they say. So I would say, John Smith, with a slight inflection upwards, and he'll say, yeah, it's me, or yes, speaking. Now it may feel uncomfortable using that technique, but I can assure you it's a really positive way of opening a call. Now we need to be professional and we need to be honest about who we are and where we're from. So we need to say that. This is Andrew Milbourne phoning you from X company. How are you today? Now, people say to me, if you said that to me, I would put the phone down on you. It's cheesy and insincere. But the research shows that we are pre-programmed to condition a response to that question. We know it's insincere. We know that no one means it when we walk along the street and someone says, hi, how are you today? It's just a human acknowledgement. And the research shows that we look for human acknowledgement. So people are very likely to turn around and say, yeah, I'm fine, how are you? Because they've been trained to do that. Now remember, we're not looking for rational conversation at this point. We're simply looking for someone to trigger back that it's okay to talk. So use this technique to make sure that people do engage positively with you. How are you today is a lovely way of just introducing that you are someone who they might want to talk to. Now their brain will still be cautious and they won't be thinking, I don't want to speak to this person. They'll be triggering back a response. So as long as we keep the triggers positive, the call can continue. Now we've got to say who we are, where we're from, and why we are calling. So the reason for my call today is to explore whether we could be doing business together. It's a lovely way of introducing the concept of transaction. So at this point, you'll probably hear people start to raise what we call objections. That is, they're trying to put the phone down or remove themselves from the call. So people will say things like, oh, okay, I've got no budget, or, well, I don't really need anything else. Now people say that not because they really mean it, but because they don't feel that having this call is worth their while. And it's perfectly natural. So don't worry when you hear that kind of objection, but we have to deal with it and move on. And the best way of dealing with it is to remind someone that we've heard it before, but actually it's okay. It's a bit like hearing a joke that you've heard 3 or 4 times. So the best thing to say is, that's okay, we find a lot of people say that. Now, tell me, and move ahead with a controlling question. Now that question depends on what you're selling and what you're offering and what they currently buy. But we want to move to the next phase, which is going to be an appointment. Remember, we're not trying to sell what we really offer on the phone. We're simply trying to move to the next phase of engagement. So we use this opportunity where questions may be asked or objections raised to suggest that we meet up to discuss. Because if it is going to be worth their while, it will be a good meeting. So the best way of doing that is to give an option, such as, look, I'm driving past your premises on Tuesday. I'll be coming back on Thursday afternoon. Would you prefer Tuesday or Thursday? I'll pop in for a short chat. So we call that an alternative close, by not giving a yes or no question, but actually offering the chance for someone to respond only positively. Would you prefer 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock? Have you got a pen or would you like to use mine? Those kind of questions give people an assumption that we're going to move to the next phase. And remember, we're doing this for their benefit. So it's in their interest, even though they may feel and they may offer us some resistance. So when you're in the call, remember that a negative response is perfectly natural, and we need good process every time to give us the best chance of putting ourselves in a position where we can help that person. So we don't want to end the call and lose control. We want to make sure that the next part of the process, which is to agree the meeting and to make sure that we do what we say we're going to do, is within our grasp. So if you hear the person on the phone say, "I'll email you back," or "I'll have a think about it and I'll call you back," or "send me something," you have to manage that. And be bold. You might as well be honest, which is, look, I'm not going to email you something because chances are you won't read the email. I'll tell you what I will do. I'll bring the information with me. Or we'll talk about that next Tuesday. I can be there at 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Which would you prefer? Go back round the cycle of closing until you get the conclusion you need, and be professional. If you have said you'll send something ahead of a meeting, then do it, and make sure you do it as professionally as possible.